One of the challenges of working in a very stressful environment is trying to leave work and return home and leave all that stress behind. The CTA model is hopefully a very simple approach that you can use to help you to achieve that day to day. This approach is based on the principle that certain routines can help us to get into relaxed or different states of being, and it's not that uncommon actually, and many of us will recognize having used similar approaches in our life. With children, we use a similar approach. We often have a bedtime routine to help them get into a frame of mind and body state that encourages sleep. They'll often be sent to brush their teeth, put on their pajamas, perhaps have a bath or a wash, and have a story read to them. And this really helps children to fall asleep. And this same principle can be applied for adults who want to change their state. So the E in the exit model refers to exiting work. And this really means taking a moment to psychologically visualize yourself leaving work. That might mean thinking of putting your worries or the things you've been dealing with in a drawer. You might even physically open that drawer, imagine putting them in and closing the drawer. It might sound very strange, but this is an approach that's very often used by people who work in very traumatic or difficult work environments. In visualizing your work being put away, you're actually taking a moment to tell the brain that work is over and that you're moving to something else. That visualization is something that you really want to put into your routine, and every day imagine that you're putting your work away, whether it's in a locker or in your drawer, or even just leaving a space and being very conscious that you've closed the door and left. The T in the ETA model stands for traveling home, and this is also a very psychological whilst also physical experience. Many of us have commutes home or long travels home, and we can spend this time either noticing that we're leaving work and traveling away, or actually ruminating on all the things that have gone on in the day and holding work in our bodies and our minds. During this traveling, it can be very helpful to really notice that you are in a different place, that you're moving away from work and moving towards home, and actually putting some psychological work into being very aware of the fact that you are moving physically from one space to the other. This is a signal to your mind and body that something is changing, you're in transition. During this traveling home, you might also want to think about what you're going to do when you get home, who's there, what might they have done during the day. Really start to change where your brain is focusing. There might be resistance to do this because you may have had a very stressful day and the things in the day are still very much held in your mind and body. Think of this like the child who has a bedtime story read, having the mind distracted, having it thinking about something different, a different story in your life, being at home, whether you're alone or with your family, what it is you do at home, what you enjoy. You're starting to encourage the brain to think about something that's different. It may not be very easy, it may actually be challenging for you, and don't worry if you're finding it difficult. This is just the second step in the model. When you actually get home, it's important to realize that you won't find it easy always to immediately switch into being present and available for the people around you, or even for yourself if you want to engage in a hobby or an activity. It can be helpful for people you live with to know that this is difficult and the transition in coming home actually is not immediate, and you may need some time to ground yourself into being in the home and amongst others. Grounding yourself refers to getting your body and mind to really notice that you are physically at home and there are no longer the same stresses around you or dangers or crisis. This can take a while for some people. It might be that you need to take a shower, spend some time having a nap, or even going for a run or having something nice to eat. Whatever it is that you find you need, it's important to let your family know that you need this if you live with other people. So they may need to let you walk through the door and go into this space that you need to ground yourself in that environment, to bring yourself back to your life and to really notice that you're somewhere different. So if you're having a shower, pay attention to what that feels like, that it's pleasant, that you're not at work, that you're not stressed. If you're taking a run, really notice how that feels, how you're running, your body is hitting the ground through your feet, the air is cool, you're breathing hard. Whatever it is that you're doing, really pay attention to the physical state you're in. Some people might refer to this as mindfulness, but I'm going to refer to it as being grounded. You're grounding your body in the environment of your home, and you're noticing that you're not at work anymore. At some point you'll want to engage in what it is to be at home, whether that's a hobby, whether it's watching television, eating, spending time with your loved ones. And this can also be quite tricky if you spent the whole day stressed. However, it's important to realize that when you repeat this routine again and again, that should over time become easier. Just like a bedtime routine, this starts to signal to your body that something has changed, you've arrived home, and the stress can be let go. The secret to this approach is to consistently repeat it every day. Every day, imagine leaving your work behind, traveling home, and noticing that you're moving away from work, and having a routine for arriving home and really physically and emotionally noticing that you're in a different, safer, and nurturing space. Just remember the model ETA: exit, travel, and arrive. And think of your own creative ways of doing each of these. The method that I've described has my suggestions of things I've seen work for others, but it may be that you have your own approaches and ideas that work for you, or even your family members might have suggestions that they can make. And I would encourage that they watch this video so they understand what it is that you're trying to achieve through this approach. If you're finding that it's particularly difficult to let go of stress, or you're noticing things like panic attacks or a tight chest or difficulties in relaxing, please see some of our other resources relating to relaxation and stress release, which could be helpful for you. I do hope this is helpful, and although it may look like a very quick and simple approach, it is very worth trying, as it's been seen to work in many staff and individuals who work in very high stress environments.